Hello everyone, welcome to the second Nitro video. In this video I will be showing you how to use Nitro PDF's functionalities to make a packet for the Houston Law Review. And I will do this by kind of going step by step through a packet. But before we do that, there are kind of a few things that once you open up the application really for the first time, you're going to want to set up to make your life a lot easier when you're doing packets in the future. Okay, so I'm going to open up a scanned file of a textbook. All right, so this is what the main Nitro page looks like. And the first thing I'm going to do before we worry about making packets or doing anything, I kind of want to set up this toolbar to have everything that I need at my fingertips. This is a really cool thing about Nitro that Adobe does not have, and so it's kind of why we think it's a better user interface and all those things. So we are going to add tools to this toolbar. They'll all be here under our favorite tools. So that way, for pretty much everything that we want to do with Nitro, we can just access that functionality here in under the favorite tools. So we're going to click Add Tools, and there are about, I think, 5 tools we want to add. So we want to add OCR. So I typed in OCR here, and then I'm going to click on it and then click Add. We want to add OCR. We want to add Highlight, because with making packets, these are all the major things that we do. We want to add Underline. We want to add Text Box. And we want to add Shapes. Great. Now click OK. And so see how they've all come up here. So now every single time that you open up Nitro, these functionalities are going to be right here under favorite tools on the main area here. And so you don't have to go searching for them. Okay, so because this is a scanned file, the very first thing you're ever going to want to do is OCR it, because right now with it being scanned, you can't search anything. You know, you should be able to search law and find it because it's right here, but you can't, and you can't highlight anything, can't underline anything because it's a scanned file. So we need to OCR the file, which is essentially taking the image and turning it into searchable text. So we're going to click OCR. We don't need to make it searchable and editable. You're only going to click this selection here if you really need to change the substance of what's written in the file, which we don't want to do with packets, because the whole point is that we're showing that this file exists and we're using it to substantiate the author's statements. So I'm just going to click Make Searchable. You're going to click OK. And this will take a little bit of time, so I may skip the video quickly till the end. Great, so the document is now officially OCR'd, so it should be searchable. We know it's searchable because, here I'm going to make this bigger. We can click Find, and click Law, and you can see every instance of the word law in this file. Shows up here on the left. You can click anything and it'll take you to that page, which I think is pretty cool. You can kind of see a preview of every time it discusses law, so that makes it a lot easier to search for things. Anyway, so now this document is editable, or we can highlight it, we can underline it, we can search through it. Okay, so that's just making this file searchable. But the other thing I want you guys to do to kind of set up so that way Nitro is easy to use every single time you open it from here on out, is I want us to set as default the coloring of everything we're going to do. So as you know, for making packets, you're going to highlight, you're going to underline, and you're going to make text boxes. So you want to set the colors for your highlighting and your text boxes and everything to be a certain color, right? So for highlighting, we're going to want it to be yellow. Well, here it's set default to teal. So I'm going to select the highlighting, and this red box pops up when you do that, and you can click Properties, and then you can change the color. So this is how you would change the color anytime you want to change the color. But if you want to set this as your default, so if I always want my highlight to be yellow when I first do a highlight, you're going to hit, once you change the color, you need to select Set as Default. So now every single time you highlight, it's going to be yellow. You can still change it if you want. Like I could change this highlight to be, so I select it and then I select properties. I could change this to be red if I want, but it's not going to be defaulted red because I already set my default as yellow. So see, when I highlight, it should be yellow. Perfect. Okay, so that's how you highlight, and that's how you set default for your highlight color. You do the same thing for underlining. So I'm going to underline this. It's currently set to default as teal. I want to set it to red. So I'm going to click properties and then change it to red, and then I'm going to select set as default. Okay, and then the other thing we want to have a default color is the text box. So when you create a text box, you're going to do this, and then this one's a little different because see how there's a red tab that came up, but it doesn't include that properties button. In order to get this to have the properties button, you have to go home, you have to click select. So now you have a little mouse guy and you can select the box like this, and then you can go to properties and you can change the border color to red, you can make the fill color nothing, and then select as default. So now every single time that we open up a text box, it should be red, and we can start typing. So footnote 01 substantiates ... Okay. All right, so that is kind of how you set everything to default. That's how you set up your ribbon up here. Those are things you're only going to have to do the first time you download. Sorry, I'm going to try to delete this. That's when you first download the software onto your computer. Now all of those things should be default every single time you open up Nitro. Okay, so now we're going to actually make a packet. So I opened up the scanned file of the packet, and so now I'm going to open up the scanned file of the book, and now I'm going to open up the cover page, which I already wrote for us, but here's the cover page. Let's go through and make this packet together. So we're going to highlight the title, we're going to highlight the edition, we're going to highlight the authors, and then the dates, and then the editors. Oh, this is a great learning opportunity. So sometimes a scan file doesn't OCR very well just because of the way the scan came in. And so see how it's kind of all off. So in these situations, this is why I put shapes up here under favorite tools. What you can do is just make a shape like this, and that can be your kind of fake highlight. And that way, if something doesn't scan, doesn't OCR very well, you can just do this instead of highlighting. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to highlight the editorial board by using the shape. And then, let's see, might as well highlight the date over here again. And then we'll go down to where we're actually quoting or substantiating the textbook. So as you can see over here, the footnote is citing to page 258, so this is page 258, and it looks like we're essentially just quoting the text. So of course, whenever you're quoting, you're going to underline the quote exactly, so I'm going to zoom in so I can get a good underline. We're starting here. So the commerce barrier to state action arises in two situations. In the first, Congress is silent. Then it looks like it goes down to here. In the second situation, Congress has exercised the commerce power. Oh, here, hold on. There we go. Okay, so we've underlined everything we want to underline. We also need to highlight it, of course. We're going to highlight the text as well. Great. Okay, so we've underlined and highlighted what we need to. We're going to now do our text box. We're going to say footnote 01 substantiates the ATL because direct quote. Okay. There we go. That's a very easy substantiation. They're not always that easy, but there we go. There's our little text box and everything. Okay, so really the last thing we need to do to make the packet is kind of clean up these pages. So to clean up the pages, to move pages around, to delete pages, whatever, you select this button over here. So now you can see I can expand this, we can see a lot more pages. So these are all the pages in the book. It looks like for some reason the editorial board page got duplicated. So we don't want that. So I'm going to select the extra page. I'm going to select delete. I used the delete button on my keyboard. And I'm just going to delete selection. And then we want to trim the pages. So we only need to keep 2 pages or 1 page after the substantiated page. So we're going to delete these last 2 pages. So I selected both of them by I used control on my keyboard, and then I selected both of them. And now I'm going to select delete on my keyboard and delete those pages. And great, so our packet is pretty much done. The only thing we have left to do now is put the site check page or the cover page into the packet. So there's really a ton of ways you can do this. You can do it by, this footnote is coming from this file over here. You could right click on this file and you can click convert to PDF with Nitro PDF Pro. Once you do that, then you can combine PDFs. There's a lot of ways to do it. The easiest way to do it, in my opinion, is I'm going to save this and exit out, and I'm going to open up this file again, and you can just drag it over here. It's really cool. You just drag the Word file, and then it's going to convert to a PDF for us, which is great. And as you'll see, it kind of popped up here. Okay, so I want to combine these two. There's ways to combine PDFs. You can select the combine button here. You can add files. I could add the footnote file or the cover page file and then the scan of the textbook file, or that's all very difficult. You just click this button again. And so now you can drag, so this is the cover page, we're on the cover page file. You can drag the cover page file over here to the textbook file and just place it in the front like that. And so now I'm going to exit out of the cover page file. We don't need that anymore. And now our packet is completed. So we've got the cover page here at the beginning. We've got the scanned source here, and it's substantiated. It's super beautiful, and we're done. And you just hit save, and it's going to save because I had it pulled from this file here. It's just saved there, and then you can take that and put it into SharePoint. So if you guys have any issues or any questions, please reach out to me. I really think it's quite simple. I may have made it kind of complicated, but just work with it. The hardest part really is setting up this ribbon, by customizing the tools, but really that's super easy. And then setting the default colors, which is really just kind of nitpicky. I don't know if we really have a requirement for colors, but that's how you do it. So yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions.